It was 11:43 p.m. when the phone rang. Not 911. It was the front desk of the Redwood Pines Motel, one of those forgotten places off the highway where people go when they do want to be found. The night clerk, a man named Harold Weiss, almost let it ring out. After all, the call was coming from room 428, and that room hadn't been rented in weeks, but something made him pick it up. He put the receiver to his ear. At first, all he heard was breathing, slow, ragged, and uneven. Then, a woman's voice, barely a whisper, cut through the static. "He's standing over me." And just like that, the line went dead. Police arrived 12 minutes later. They found room 428 locked from the inside. The window was sealed shut, painted over years ago. No fire escape, no balcony. There was no way in or out. They had to force the door open. Inside, they found 26-year-old Emily Carter. She was lying on the bed, her hands folded neatly across her chest, almost peacefully, except for the brutal cut across her throat. There were no signs of a struggle. No weapon could be found anywhere in the room. Forensics dusted for prints, but came up empty. It was as if no one else had ever set foot inside. At first, detectives treated it as a straightforward, if baffling, homicide. But then they pulled the motel's records, and the case took a sharp turn into the impossible. Emily Carter had checked into the Redwood Pines 3 days earlier. According to the grainy security footage from the single camera in the hallway, she had never once left her room. No food deliveries were made. No visitors came to her door. She didn't even make a trip to her own car parked outside. The footage showed nothing but an empty, silent hallway. But something else was happening. The motel, for billing and liability reasons, recorded all calls, both incoming and outgoing. And the records showed a chilling pattern. Every night at exactly 11:43 p.m., the phone in Emily's room would ring, and every night she would answer. Detective Laura Mendez, a veteran with a reputation for not believing in ghosts, sat in a small, dark room and listened to the recordings. The first call was strange. Emily sounded nervous, but her voice was steady. She said, "I told you I don't want to talk anymore." A simple, clear statement. On the second night, her composure was gone. Her voice was shaky, laced with fear. "I know what you did," she said. "Please stop calling." By the third night, the night she died, she was sobbing. The recording was mostly just her crying, but Mendez could make out a few whispered words. "You're not real," she pleaded. "You can't be." And then came the final call. The one Harold the clerk had answered. The call that ended everything. Phone records revealed something that made the hair on Detective Mendez's arms stand up. Every single call made to room 428 originated from inside the motel, specifically from a phone line that was assigned to room 37. This presented a major problem. Room 37 had been officially condemned for over a year. Severe water damage from a burst pipe had led to a nasty infestation of black mold. There was no power running to the room, no phone line. It was just a sealed, derelict box, armed with a crowbar and a heavy-duty flashlight. Police pried open the door to room 37. The smell hit them first, the thick, cloying miasma of old rot, dust, and something else underneath it all. Something sickly sweet and fundamentally wrong. The room was stripped bare. No furniture, no carpet, not even wiring in the walls. The phone jack had been ripped out years ago. But as the flashlight beam swept across the drywall, it revealed dozens upon dozens of marks carved deep into the plaster. Not words, tally marks, hundreds of them, grouped in fives. And on the far wall, scrawled in what looked like a black permanent marker, was a single, chilling sentence. "She always answers." The investigation pivoted. Who was Emily Carter? Really? Detectives dug into her past and discovered she hadn't always used that name. 5 years earlier, She was Emily Ross, and she had been the star witness in a brutal domestic abuse case against her ex-boyfriend, a man named Daniel Hargreave. Her testimony sent him to prison for 8 years, but Daniel never made it to the end of his sentence. He was found dead in his cell 3 years in. The official cause of death was suicide. At the time his body was discovered, 11:43 p.m. Detective Mendez didn't sleep that night, or the night after. She kept turning one impossible detail over and over in her mind. If Daniel Hargreave was dead, who had been making those calls? Then, the forensics team called with one last terrifying discovery from room 428. It was about the motel phone itself. Cord had been cut, and not recently. Cut was old, dusty, and frayed. It had been severed long before Emily Carter ever checked in. This meant that every single call she answered, every whisper she heard, came through a phone that wasn't physically connected to anything. A dead line. The Redwood Pines Motel shut down for good shortly after. The bad press and the swarm of unanswered questions were too much for the owners. The building sat vacant, a monument to a mystery no one could solve. But that wasn't the end of the story. 6 months later, a demolition company hired a new temporary clerk to help clear out the building before it was torn down. On his second night there, alone in the empty, cavernous lobby, the front desk phone rang. It was 11:43 p.m. He glanced at the caller ID. It displayed just one word, 428. Hesitantly, he picked it up. A woman's voice, faint and terrified, whispered into his ear, "He's standing over me." Before he could even process what he'd heard, another voice came onto the line. This one was different, lower, deeper, and so close to the receiver, it felt like it was right beside his face. It said, "She always answers." The entire building was demolished the very next morning. No calls have been reported from that number since. But there's one part of the story the police never released to the public. Emily Carter's personal cell phone was found in her purse, untouched. It had a full battery. There were no missed calls, no record of any incoming calls at all. One single outgoing call, placed at 11:43 p.m. on the night she died. It's the number she had dialed, the number for her own room. It's room 428.